In today's episode of Killing Whiskey History, I'm going to be comparing 3 decades of Chivas Regal 12-year-old. We have a 1950s, a 1970s, and a 20-teens. This is in fact from 2016. The 1950s mini of Chivas Regal 12 looks like it's been roughed up a bit, but I'm going to taste it anyway, and if I think that there's some foul play going on, I will obviously mention it. The Chivas Brothers Company has been around for 216 years, but the actual Chivas family was only involved in 55 of those years. The company was started in 1801 by John Forrest in Aberdeen. James Chivas joined up as co-owner in 1838. His brother John co-owned the company with him starting in 1857, and then the company passed out of the family in 1893. In 1909, the company's lead blender decided to create the world's first luxury blended Scotch whiskey, and it was Chivas Regal 25-year-old, and was very popular in luxury circles, but thanks to World War I, the Great Depression, and World War II, Chivas' stocks were put at risk, so they rebranded as Chivas Regal 12-year-old. In 1949, Chivas Brothers was bought by Seagram's. In 1950, Strathisla Distillery became the home of the Chivas Regal blends. It's sort of geographically the home, as well as being the lead malt in the blend. The company was then taken over by Pernod Ricard in 2001, and that is who still owns the Chivas Regal brand. This is a 375 milliliter Chivas Regal from 2016. There is an actual bottling code right there that says 2016. Here's a mini using the old label for Chivas 12. It says 86 proof, which means it is from 1989 or earlier. It has 1/10 pint. This is from before 1980. We have a tax strip here which has U.S. Internal Revenue. This is from 1976 or before. This actually has a state tax stamp right here for Wisconsin. This type of state tax stamp was used between 1962 and 1977. Without being able to find out precisely the date of the bottling, it could be between the early 60s to the mid-70s. So I'm going to play it safe here and just guess that this is from the 1970s. Finally, there is the old one. This has proof and pints. So again, it would put it from the 70s or earlier. The only way I was really able to figure out when this was from is by studying old ads for Chivas Regal in magazines between the years of 1951 and 1959. Thus, this is 1950s, at least the bottle is. Who knows what lays within? As I mentioned, there are some problems with this one of which the tax stamp has been removed. And as you could tell, something's going on with the cap here, which is why I'm playing cautious with this one. First, I'm going to open up the 2016. Oh, rats. No cork. Next, we have the 1970s-ish Chivas Regal 12. And then we have the mystery 1950s Chivas. First, the 2016. You got a little bit of pear and lychee candy. Considering it's 40% alcohol by volume, there is a strange amount of like ethyl vapors coming off of this. This, the 2016, does not open up with time. It is what it is. This is the 1970s Chivas. I would say lemon peel and toffee. Mineral chalkiness, Springbank Dunnage warehouse sort of thing. Now we go to the probably 1950s. Well, I'll tell you what. First of all, there is something, this is an old blend. It has old blend funk going on. Dunnage, musty. There is a marijuana-like hot oregano note going on. That's actually very potent right now. So there are sherry casks. There is peat. But you also have lemons and peaches. So I'm going to start sipping the 2016. There is very little malt whiskey in this. If you blind tasted me on this, I would say it was a single grain or a blended grain whiskey. Vanilla and caramel, apple juice, maybe a little coconut, and that's mostly it. Not good at all. I don't even know what I'm going to do with the rest of this bottle. So now we're going to take a look at the 1970s. The palate is actually very floral. A little bit of soap. In fact, I need a drink to get the soap character out of my mouth. You get like toffee, you get sugar, maybe some caramel, but it's mostly flowers and soap. I am not going to drink any more of this. 1950s. I like this. It's literally oily on the palate. It's oily in the texture. It's really herbal. Yeah. I like this. There's definitely peat. There's definitely herbs, a bit of a vegetal note. It's got a great bitterness to it. With time, this gets it's like toffee pudding with a little bit of chocolate syrup, whipped cream. There is vanilla in it, but there's so much just it's so toffeed. I will go out on a limb and say this really is 1950s Chivas. So a little recap here. These three are three very different whiskeys. There's no through line here. There's no connection between these three in style. This is almost all grain. There's no malt character to it all. There is a little bit of oak to it, but it is very bland and very boring and also oddly hot. Though the labels for this 1970s something Chivas are totally intact and show no signs of sun damage, I believe that something happened to this whiskey in the mini bottle. It is very soapy. I thought this was either going to be tainted or replaced with some generic whiskey, but it is good. It has sherry casks and peat and herbs and citrus, and it has a depth that a lot of single malts don't have right now.
Papa.
Sounds like my time is up.